For a spooky and tasty Halloween this year, I decided to make these yummy eyeballs. So here's just a quick little picture of the ingredients you're going to want for the filling that I did. I'm going to start off with a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream, some gel red food coloring, you don't want the liquid kinds, and then mix it up well over low heat. Mine was at about a 2 out of 10, so make sure it is very low because you don't want to burn this mixture. Next, you're going to add in about a 1/2 bag of these white baking chips and just get it nice and smooth. Could have added more food coloring so it was more red versus pink, which is kind of what I was going for, but I decided to call it good enough. If you want other ideas for fillings, because you maybe don't love white chocolate as much, I've got some ideas I'll put on later, but this is a basic ganache that I did a little twist on. Then I added a little bit of caramel syrup like you would have in coffee or Italian sodas, just for a little bit of extra something. So next up for the design, I'm using mostly candy melts, and I've got these little piping bags. And my trick with working with candy like this, especially with details, because it's going to harden in the bags, is actually to use a heating pad. To melt it, I sandwich it between the heating pad on high, and then just to keep it so it is soft and workable, I just do it on warm or low. Probably warm is more than sufficient. So I'm taking this mold, I'll link down below to a mold that is just like this. Taking and snipping off the end. Smaller is usually better because then you can just have more control, especially with fine details. And like the inner of all of our eyes, I did black on the inside. And then of course you can have fun with the colors. I had thought about doing some green and some brown and blue, but I just went with the basic blue for today. The nice thing about this is it cools down pretty quickly, so you can move on the next level, but still I put it in the fridge for just a couple minutes and then grabbed my blue, making sure to be careful about the details. Fun fact, I actually got this mold from a thrift store, so it's kind of nice. Kind of jiggling it helps it to really fill in so you don't get air bubbles in there, so that's another tip. After a little refrigeration, I put in the red veins. Another thing you have to watch out for on this next level of adding the white of the eyes is all of these layers you want to be good and solidified, because you're going to add another hot layer of chocolate and be spreading it, and it can smear. I had a little bit of smearing, but I was careful so it didn't happen too much. But either way, got our bloodshot eyes. I think these would be fun on top of cupcakes, or just by themselves is pretty fun. Let me know in the comments down below, what color of eyes would you make if this were you? You could do even fun ones like purple or yellow, why not? So anyway, I am using not actually white candy melts because I didn't actually have those on hand. At first I tried with these Ghirardelli chocolate chips, which nice that they're like higher quality, but they were also harder to work with. So I used up what I had, which was like 3.5, something like that. I wasn't able to do all of them with those, and then I put in the more generic white baking chips, and the flavor may not be as great, but it sure was a lot smoother. You want to make sure to plug holes and super thin spots so your filling, you can't see it. And while our ganache has been setting up in the fridge, we've been doing all of that work, and now it's ready to scoop out. I probably should have just put it in a piping bag. It would have been a lot easier to work with, less messy. It'll warm up with your hands and be a little more liquidy, but again, once you put it in the fridge, it will solidify more for being able to put on the back of the eyeball. So I did mention other filling options. I have a video that I will link down below to an Easter video I did with a whole bunch of different amazing tasting fillings. We're talking like homemade Reese's and an Oreo filling and caramel and just really great things. This one was just a little more simple, so I thought I'd have fun with the ganache. Anyway, what I'm doing here is also one of those filling ideas, is I'm making a back. So I made a little paper template, and then I'm just using the empty spaces to make a back to some of these. So for the ones where I already put the filling in, I'm going to go ahead and close them up and then put this in the fridge. And then the backs, you can actually have like a hollow surprise. I would have done M&Ms, but I kind of forgot that I was going to do this part, so I had random chunky candy, but you get the idea. Throw in some M&Ms or some other favorite little candy, and you can just glue the backs on there. I saved the last one here to try a little bit different, see if I could have it so it wasn't having so much overflow around the edges. Ultimately, I don't know, I kind of prefer the method that I did here and not the hollow one that I waited to cap after I pushed it out. But yeah, I mean, either way, there's different techniques. They're all pretty similar. But didn't those turn out pretty rad? I think they turned out pretty rad. So the one that I left for later, just put the candy in and then just glue it more directly. I feel like it's easier to have gaps, unwanted gaps. So I probably would have just done it all directly in the mold. Let it set up, and then carefully and quickly, so the heat of your hand doesn't warm up and smudge and make anything gross, just trim around the edges there. So look, they're so cute. I think they're fun. But anyway, taste test. Honestly, it is a lot of white chocolate for me. I am not a huge white chocolate fan, but if you are, this would be a fun one for you. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear your comments and your thoughts, and I'd love for you to check out my Halloween playlist, see if there's another video you like. I'll be back next week for another Halloween video, a little compilation of some of my favorite stuff. So thanks for joining me here on Jen's Creativity Corner, and we'll see you next time.